Boozed and Bothered on occasion may contain content that readers and listeners find offensive or distasteful. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast or on the articles on the website are solely those of the individual authors, speakers, and or guests, and do not necessarily reflect the views of Boozed and Bothered as a whole or the views of any of Boozed and Bothered's affiliate or parent companies and organizations. Enjoy the show.
Brent has banned guns.
They haven't hit a single target. All they've hit is children.
Now they're rolling down the street with a fucking Panzer.
You wouldn't just jump in and get all up in it?
And all of a sudden, you both take like 3 steps back and fucking look at me like I'm a weirdo.
Ice-T was coming to pick him up.
18th century relic, my fat fucking ass.
They're locking up the detergent.
Can we not take a turn in this conspiracy town, please?
I feel like there should not be 1,000 people on the freeway. Right?
Why the fuck not?
Knowledge could be anything. A nut's a nut.
Do you think police brutality is an issue?
Oh wait, we're putting tinfoil on.
That's coming in through the bum.
Now, I'm straight white male.
Derp, derp, derpy, derp, derp.
I'm not gonna get boozed and bothered about it.
Cheers to that.
You remember in like theater, we used to like, or not theater. Where was it? There was an environment I was in where we would test mics.
Did not know this test would get gayer, but here
I
we
don't
go.
think I was. Yeah.
When I was going to like church a lot, we would like test the microphones, and you'd always say six, but like once you said it enough times, you'd start saying sex.
Right.
And it was just, I don't know why I thought of that. Maybe because we're testing the microphones right now.
All right.
I mean,
We were just talking about this idolatrous beer, and that's the story that came from it. I can't even imagine Sean. When Sean says, remember when I was like, during this time I was going to church. I just can't.
You weren't around for that.
I was somewhat around, but
Wait.
not. It's not something.
idolatrous, does that mean, I'll look it up in a second, but does that mean idol worship?
Yeah,
that's how I take it.
That's what the Protestants call
it-
the Catholics, idolatrous.
But no, I get that, but is that a play because everybody and their white mother loves IPAs right now? And this is like the beer worship.
The hop worship series.
It's lattes for white males.
It's pumpkin spice lattes, okay?
Pumpkin spice lattes for straight white males. That's right. That's what we've determined.
How every IPA... Listen, I'll say it. Every IPA tastes the same. It's fine.
I would
So
agree.
why do we
I would
buy?
agree.
Why do we buy all the different ones though?
Because
why do we
we
do
can
that?
taste the different design on the can.
Well, oh my gosh. So I just started drinking, period, like when I was 23, which was 7 years ago, right?
Period.
Okay, I won't do that. That was a bad choice of
gross.
words. But what I'm saying is I remember my very first drink and my very first beer
Yeah.
is Sierra Nevada. And they were like, I don't know how you're going to feel about this Sierra Nevada. It's kind of one of those like craft beers.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
And
a little what's the word? Like
you
pungent.
should do
It's
something
like
like a light beer. And I remember literally going, the Sierra Nevada? I'm kind of midway on it. Here's a blonde, it was like a light, like a Bud Light. And I was like, that tastes exactly the same. And their jaws dropped because people are like, oh my gosh, this beer's so different. And I remember being
drinking
like,
blonde
this is the
periods?
exact...
Sorry, I tuned out for a minute and I tried to like pull back because I was reading something about an asteroid hitting the Earth, and then
You should never pull back. You should only pull out. That's my response. Official.
Not when you're Johnny.
You
There's
heard it
no
here first.
consequence for not pulling out.
Oh.
Yes, well, yes, there is. There's like the AIDS thing, but that,
But you shouldn't go in the first place.
it's definitely what they said in church.
Going in.
Okay. You know what? I'm saying why? No.
I just want to be a father,
We're not
Sean.
gonna-
Okay, I've got to try.
Are you gonna be? Are you so? And I realize that any liberal listeners we might have, if we haven't scared you off yet, props to you, by the way, might be offended when I ask you this. But when the day comes, do you plan on being the pants wearer in the relationship, or is it going to be a cooperative kind of trading pants, or do you want to wear the dress? Metaphorically, please don't take that literally. I mean, unless you want to wear a dress.
Wait, what are we
that's
talking
fine.
about?
I'm being in a relationship, like
Oh,
married.
we're talking about love.
Yeah. What the fuck did you think I was talking about?
Well, I was trying to relate this to butt sex, but was trying to see where you were going with that. I was like, well, pants make that really hard. Dress, I guess there's access. But I don't know what.
But it's hard to fight in a dress.
really don't
'cause I
feel
know
like
you
wearing a
fight to top, right?
I really don't feel like. Sorry, Dad. I don't know. I don't even have an answer. I don't know what I would want out of that.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
I'm sorry.
Please don't shout into the microphone.
I'm sorry. I just got licked by your dog, and I wasn't expecting it.
That's what
This
dogs
is a
do.
very tense moment in Boozed and Bothered history.
That's fine. We took a little bit of a break last week, so I feel like we can
Called
come
summer
in,
vacation.
come in a little. We can come in a little tense, you know.
Well, some of us have families and we're happy about them, so things.
I don't think we're tense. I'm feeling good. I'm relaxed. My butt is freshly puckered. We're good.
Wouldn't that be tension if your butt's puckered?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Why do I feel so
Yeah.
relaxed when I do that?
Practice.
Protect the exit.
For how straight I am, I think I'd probably make a really good gay person.
Well,
I've been told that too many
Johnny,
times
what's
in
the
my
verdict on that?
Would Brent make a good gay person?
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like he's. It sounds
It's
like
very to the point that yeah,
Yeah.
that's
it sounds
fine.
like he's practicing.
This-
So
This just
there's only one way to get good at
You
it.
heard it here first.
You heard it here first. Brent makes a good gay.
There's literally someone at my dance studio that calls me flaming straight.
Flaming straight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that happens.
It does. It's all
I've
'cause
known a
of
few
dance.
of those in my life. Is it all because of dance?
Well, and I was in the professional theater in Sacramento for some time, and we had a history of theater in high school, and
Yeah. Does that
but I
does
think
that make
that's
you
where-
flaming straight?
well, I'm like
Certainly doesn't help.
It's not like you're limp wristed all of the
It's
time.
because when I'm dancing, I'm often asked to do choreography, and when you're doing choreography, you're like tapping into your feelings, and you're getting really, I don't know, crafty with your
It's like-
hands, and people are like, "Oh my gosh,
choreography.
she looks so femme," and it's part of looking beautiful when you're dancing waltz, and you want to be as big and voluminous and take up as much space as you possibly can. You have to
Shockingly,
look
this
a
is
little
why-
in touch with your feelings.
It's exactly why I was never great in like any dance class ever. So they were like, you have to open up, and I was like, I'd rather not.
Joey's like, "Fuck that."
Yeah, I was like, no, my parents can, find a therapist for me to do that with. I'm going to learn how to move.
That's fine.
In front of people.
See, I wasn't ready for therapy at that point in my life when I was in high school. So, theater was great for me to open up.
faking it.
Yeah, exactly. Play pretend.
Well, here we
Sean
are.
and I had to express
15
ourselves,
years
yeah.
later, I had to express myself too. My mom paid for that.
Well, our expressing ourselves was like managed by our high school selves, right? So we were like hella stupid. We would be in the middle of the quad and see each other from across the way and go 1, 2, 3, Jewish, and we thought that was the funniest shit in the world.
Why did
but
we shouted Jewish
We
all the
were
time? Why
so
did we do that?
dumb.
Why did we do that? Why did we shout Jewish so much?
It was like an adjective. We were like, "Oh man, that's so Jewish." That was like
We were
how
we were
ignorant we were.
so offensive.
I know. And then remember, we were like, there was, I won't say the last name, but there was a person in our group called Rachel, and we were like, we could never say Jewish in front of Rachel. She
'Cause
would
she was
absolutely
Jewish.
have a cow. She wasn't
No,
Jewish.
she wasn't Jew-
but
oh,
she
yeah,
was
no,
just
she was-
progressive as fuck, and this was 10 years
She was
ago.
the SJW before SJWs were SJWs.
Bingo.
That's
And
right.
our accord was, if Rachel's in the room, no Jewish.
No Jewish. No
Oh,
Jewish.
man.
What the fuck is wrong with you people?
This is a true story. This happened.
No, I believe it.
So that's what
We were
happens.
privileged suburban children
you
is what
leave-
it was.
Privileged suburban children to manage their emotions in theater in high school. That's what you get, ladies and gentlemen.
And that theater was a toxic environment. Let's just be
Oh,
straight.
yeah.
Everybody was fucking everybody, and it was.
I wasn't.
No, you weren't. You were very, very Mormon at the time.
I was like, "You're cute." And then like, so and so's in the side room going, get it, take it,
What in the whole fuck? Okay.
It was.
Okay.
Oh my God. What are we
Okay.
drinking? Okay, wait. Idolatrous IPA. You brought Patron, but you're not drinking it. Why aren't you drinking your Patron?
Well.
Did your pussy out? Did your feelings come out?
Confirmed. I pussied out.
Okay, that's fair.
I thought
That's
I
a shit
shouldn't show up
tequila
with an empty
anyway,
hand.
and you should throw it away.
Whoa! Patron is so good. How can you say that?
No,
Sean.
it's not.
Sean.
No.
Sean.
No.
Sean.
People who actually drink tequila are going to listen to this podcast and laugh in your face.
All right, so when you're drinking tequila, it's about how smooth it goes down and how it blossoms in your chest when you breathe out. Patron does that.
That tastes like gasoline.
Who are you?
That is
I don't
not
even-
smooth.
you've
No,
changed, man.
you drink Don
I
Julio,
can't even talk to you right
Casadores, Milagro. Patron is garbage.
Casa Dorhu and Malagwat. All I got was you like Patron, and I agree. It's a
I don't
fantastic.
like Patron. It's
fantastic
why is
tequila.
that even? That's just as bad as bringing Stella into my house.
I'll take a shot of this before the night's over. So
Disgusting.
calm your britches.
Disgusting.
And that means I have quite a laundry list because I put some Stellas in the freezer, hoping to get through those.
You disgust me. I want to thank everyone for listening to Boozed and Bothered. Welcome to episode 25.
Yeah, if you still fucking are.
Welcome back, everybody. We took a bit of a break last week. Things got a little crazy. It was an unscheduled break. We'll try to not take as many of those from here on out. My name
We'll
is...
do what we want.
Or that. My name is Sean, your AKA Daddy, your producer and co-host.
My name is Sean. Sorry, I was going to mock him real quick. But
You don't want to be me right now.
all right, well, my name is Jonathan, and I'm not Sean, and I'm your host.
My name is Sean, and I love Patron tequila. It's so good. My name is not Sean. It's Brent. I'm cool dad.
You are cool dad. I was
Straight
trying to
white
remember what your
male.
nickname is. Yeah. Straight white cool dad.
Mr. Butt is puckered and ready to roll.
His butt is puckered. And speaking of butt puckering, I want to jump right into something that puckers a lot of butts. We're talking children in cages. We're talking So
The left is always mad about this.
I don't, just a couple weeks ago, the left was all about a porn star and destroying a family, and now the left is all about family values. So,
No. They just don't like children confined, whether it's abortion or border security.
would they rather have them separated?
Yes.
Interesting.
Well, it depends on where they are in their development. Yeah, I think
Gonna
this
take some privilege from them so that you can rally them to your side eventually.
Well, yes.
So something that I thought was interesting was my initial knee-jerk reaction of the very minimal reading that I've done on this, which hasn't been much.
You're
which
so
is
ignorant.
good. I just had a bit of a week or two and haven't had the time, but I'm
fine.
here and I'm asking about it because I had originally assumed that what was happening was there's a family in the States, they get caught and they send the parents home, but because the kid is a citizen, they keep the kid here and put him in a cage because they don't know what to do with the kid. But what we had talked to before the recording was that actually what's happening is it's actually on the flip side where people are trying to sneak in, get caught, and they're arresting the parents, and now we have this kid that we don't know what to do with.
Well, it is complicated, and there are different. I mean, there are different ways to get to people being held or detained, I think is the official word.
Right.
Some of these people are arrested in the United States. They've been living here. Some of the people are arrested at border crossings. Brooke Baldwin from CNN was interviewing a Border Patrol agent today, and he kind of laid a few things out because we never hear from agencies specifically. They try to, especially when they're under fire, they try to leave it to the talking heads or whatever
Right.
in the government to talk to the media. And I think it's probably better that Brooke Baldwin from CNN talked to an actual Border Patrol agent, and he kind of laid a few things out. And he was like, this can go multiple ways. He was like, you have to understand, not all of the people crossing the border are doing so at, the check-in points or the crossing points. And to do anything, to enter the country, I think everyone should know this. If you enter the country outside of specific points of entry, it is breaking the law. And you'll get arrested. And he pointed this out to her, and it was very important. And I think that everybody should know this. It doesn't matter whether you're a citizen or not a citizen. If you cross the border at an illegal point, it's breaking the law. And you're going to get arrested anyways. But the thing about this is that the people being separated from their kids are under arrest for one thing or another. Now, do we want parents to be separated from their children? No, we don't want kids sitting in cages alone crying. The recordings are awful, and people have been reacting about this. And it's what's driving a lot of, the emotional response, like you were saying. This is taken on, a real emotional toll. But what...
But these parents chose to get arrested in front of their children.
Well, but what do you want?
They chose to cross the border.
And you can moralize that, and you can do whatever, I think it's also important to note that most of these people are not Mexican citizens. These are people from Central and South America who are crossing through Mexico.
Correct.
Because Mexico is, it could be argued that Mexico is encouraging them to go from point A to point B from their southern border to our southern border.
Just get in, get through, and get out.
Yeah, you can't enter. People should know this. You cannot enter Mexico and be a resident unless the federal state of Mexico, the United States of Mexico, technically allows it. You have to be. It's a merit-based system. Canada's a merit-based system. You have to be invited. But Mexico is guilty a few years ago of busing people from their Guatemalan border to their south up to the U.S. border and releasing them. Just skipping. Basically,
They're so helpful.
skip go, don't collect $200 and go to jail. Basically.
Yeah.
But what I don't understand what people really want Congress or the president or ICE or the Border Patrol agents to do here. These people are under arrest. The adults are under arrest in these situations. You
They
cannot
have a responsibility to arrest these people.
It's their job. That's true, but you can't throw kids into a jail with their parents, and you can't. What's the point of arresting somebody if they're going to go to a fucking Hilton? Okay, you don't get to go to Camp Albuquerque and have a nice summer break while we decide your legal status. If you break the law and you get arrested, and this goes against the general tenets of libertarianism and freedom or whatever, but if you are going to be arrested, you're kind of going to jail. And I think it would be a huge disservice to keep families together in a prison cell. And then
Sounds like an internment camp.
Well,
that's the argument, right?
George Takei came out just yesterday and was like, even when I was in internment, my family wasn't separated. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you, you fucking asshole? Congratulations, you guys all get to go to Camp Northern California jailhouse for Japanese Americans, weirdly, illegally, and unethically, with your fucking parents and your
I like how
congratulations.
I like how Takei tried to use a not so negative. That's not a positive. There's nothing positive about it. He used a not so negative from a really negative situation that a Democrat. I don't know why I had to mention that. I feel like I had to mention that. But that a Democrat president made an order that an entire race of people in the USA all be thrown into camps to live at more than substandard, at a more than substandard level, beaten, abused, who were eventually released and came home to neighborhoods that did not want them back. They were treated
their
like
properties
shit.
were all confiscated by the U.S. government and redistributed.
Yeah, they were pretty much almost they were practically just demoralized, berated, obliterated.
Well, it was an internment camp. It's
Yeah.
not summer.
Here's the thing, though. There's a picture out there of a little kid crying with his face pressed up against a cage. I think there's probably a better way to take care of these children. We can put some dollars, and I don't think there's a soul out there in the world who would say, let's not spend money on figuring out a nice civil way to take care of these kids.
Sure, and one could argue that, you know, it was not the choice of the child to make the decision that to go along with the decision that their parents made.
But there are also like
What's so
numerous,
funny about that?
But there are numerous things.
Sorry, the thought in my head was, it's not like an officer was like, "Oh, what do we do with this kid? Oh, look at that! Go ahead and put him in that." You know, it's not like that.
Well, there are some questions that need to be answered here, and I don't know that we're gonna ever get like
To
an
the
actual
meat of it?
a number on it. So Melania Trump went to a Lutheran run.
Was that with the jacket?
That was with a jacket today.
A jacket in Texas, number
Yeah.
one.
So she went to a Lutheran facility for these border families or whatever, and allegedly the number of families out of 55 families, 5% is the average number for people who have been separated.
Okay,
So 5% of 55
right.
is what is that, like one family?
Two.
Two? Okay. Congratulations.
No.
You've got
It's actually a pretty successful number.
One.
You've got a handful, literally,
Half
out
a
of
family.
a few dozen families at this one facility. And of course, this is a private religious facility. This is very different, but we don't know what the numbers are across the board. We don't know how many children are being separated from their parents.
Sure. Right.
It could be a lot higher in not ice camps, but you know, whatever you want to call them, in the immigration internment centers, you know, just to appease the leftists out there. Whatever you want to call them, we don't know the number of children who are actually being removed from their parents. And nobody's saying that this is actually like a mass thing. No one's saying that this is even half of families.
So why are we freaking out about this?
Because it sounds icky. And because Rachel Maddow cried out on a show. Okay?
That guy.
Well, and this is something that happens a lot, I find, from...
Hasn't this been happening for administrations?
Yes.
4 years.
Plural.
That we know of.
Administrations.
Right. But we don't... Here's the thing.
Why are we freaking out about it now?
You can't take your kids with you when you get arrested for a DUI.
Correct.
You can't take your kids with you when you're arrested for fighting
And
at a
I
club.
think anyone would argue, and I think anyone with any kind of at least slightly sane moral compass would argue that is a bad decision. That's not. You shouldn't. That's a little inhumane to be like, I got a DUI, but I want to take my kids to jail with me.
I have a son. I need to take care of him. He. You
Yeah.
know, okay, ma'am. I'll bring him
he's
right
gonna
in.
sit with me in the drunk tank.
So let's just say, in a hypothetical world, the argument was, let me take my child with me to jail.
Sure.
And the officer was like, "Sure, go ahead and take him," you know. And then someone got
I like
a
your cop
picture of it.
voice.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And then someone got a picture of that. I could absolutely see the exact same people arguing
Sure.
that Trump is a terrible president because kids are in cages.
Right.
The exact same group, I could absolutely see them going, "Oh my gosh, Trump is a terrible president because kids are in jails with their parents."
Well, and the other thing, and
Or kids are in jail is what they would say.
But exactly
Right.
that. Okay, exactly that, and it's all context. One, we don't know the context of these pictures with the kids pressed against the chain link fence, looking like it's Oliver and Company, like the real life version. We don't know. We don't know what's going on.
It's
And
shock value marketing.
It is shock value marketing.
Correct.
And at the same time, I do agree. Maybe we can hold the kids in something better. But you know what? Some of these kids aren't fucking U.S. citizens. And do you want to? I'm gonna
You're
say.
right, you're right,
I'm gonna
you're
say.
right,
I'm gonna
but-
say something that's gonna make a lot of people really uncomfortable. But I think it's how the vast majority of people fucking feel. I don't give a shit about anybody from a shithole country that's not our shithole country. And to be fair,
Lord Jesus.
there are
Shit.
dozens of consulates, embassies throughout the Americas, obviously throughout the world. There are dozens of points of entry into the United States where you can go and seek asylum. yes, these are shithole countries. They really are. Some of them are completely
Well,
undermined.
that's why they're trying to come
politically.
here, right? That's why they're trying to come here.
And I get that. But here's the thing: if you grab your fucking 4-year-old and you try to swim across the Rio Grande, one, you're already a negligent parent. I don't give a fuck about your aspirations. And two, because little Jimmy can fucking swim across a goddamn river
He's a swimmer.
that spans a continent.
It's
no,
me.
Jaime. Racist bastard. There are white people in Mexico too. Okay. Maybe. But listen, I don't really care. I don't care about the situation.
Okay, no, and I get it, and I get where you're coming from, and I get where a lot of people are coming from with that. But like, I gotta say, these children did not make this decision for themselves.
Great.
I'm not saying
great.
put
So
them in a
let's just
fucking
send them.
I'm not saying
You
put
know
them in a
what?
fucking Holiday Inn.
No, it's
I'm
great,
not
Sean.
saying-
I totally agree. It's fucking June. They can go to fucking what is the camp that Lindsay Lohan was at in the remake of The Parent Trap? They can send all these fucking children there, and they can all go play with little mini Lindsay Lohans while they find their twins and switch lives, and it can be fucking great.
I think that Jimmy is going to be the name of the sperm that consummated my children because they were good swimmers.
Jimmy 1 and Jimmy 2.
Wouldn't it be Jaime if we're speaking in the context of this situation?
No, but really, you're gonna tell me, Sean, that you care.
I do.
I'm not saying
I care.
you
Why?
care.
Why do you care?
Okay, he's a dad.
I'm
Yeah, but his-
biased.
yeah, but
He's
his
a
kid-
dad.
Yeah, but his kids are safe, and they're not fucking being dragged across the Rio Grande, put with
Any
fucking
kid-
pedophiles that'll drug run them up and down and rape them just to get to fucking Texas, and not even the good parts of Texas. We're talking like Corpus Christi, okay?
I don't know if I'm good to speak on it because I'm super biased. But any kid that's alone crying, I'm gonna say we should spend some dollars to take care
Great,
of
and
them.
he'll shank your kneecap and steal your money and use your ID to create a fake to get into the
He
country.
will sell him chiclets.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
No, not these kids. Not these ones. Listen, who cares?
Thanks for this
Who
Hyatt
cares?
pillow. Want some chiclets?
No. You
so
know you
bad.
don't care. Like all of
Not
these people
okay.
that are like, but like all my I have friends.
I'm
on
not going to go and
Facebook.
protest about it. I'm just saying.
But we're gonna make
saying.
a podcast about it.
What do you? What? I can't bring you a fucking counterpoint. You just want me to nod and nod.
No,
and
you
agree
can make
with
a
you,
counterpoint. I just
like
want to know
my fucking parents do with the talking heads on MSNBC.
Yeah, well,
I'm just saying.
why do you care, Sean?
I'm just saying these kids
'Cause
didn't
it's
make the
icky?
decision. It is a little icky, and we got to be honest about that. Come on, you got to be honest about that. It is a little icky.
Well,
but I'm
and-
not gonna sit there like Rachel
They have a
Maddow on
blanket, a
MSNBC.
chain link fence. My middle school was surrounded by a chain link fence. I survived it.
I get it, and so did I. It's fine, but I'm not gonna sit. I'm not gonna.
And
sit
my
here-
middle school didn't even give me fucking blankets.
I'm
These
not gonna,
kids have
I'm not
blankets.
gonna sit here like Rachel Maddow on MSNBC and cry about it. Okay, listen, fuck that guy. He said enough bullshit in the past. I'm just saying these children didn't make the decision for themselves. I don't know what the solution is, but I don't know. It just kind of sucks. All I'm saying is it kind of sucks. I don't have a solution. I'm not saying we should spend dollars. I'm not saying we should throw them in jail with their parents because that's negligent. But their parents are already negligent, and maybe it's not so nice to leave them with an already negligent person who's going to drag their child across a fucking river
and get arrested.
and get arrested, right? But I'm just saying it's icky, and I don't know, like. I just feel bad for the kids.
See, but the parents see it
That's all.
as not being negligent. They see it as a calculated risk.
But see, okay, but here's the real question, and this is why I feel like I can say I don't really care what happens in this situation. What do you want the U.S. government to do?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
What are they expected to do? Because obviously 2 different administrations haven't sorted this out or made this any better. And for me, this is where I get more emotional than on any other point of the topic. I personally believe that this is caused by really being a not great neighbor as a country.
America?
Yes.
Sure.
And I'm not just talking about, the bombacity of America. I like that. I think it's great. That's who we are.
Manifest destiny.
That is so Johnny.
But there are things about American
Yes.
culture that tie in with Canada that we have made a priority
Yeah, that's actually
to
really
create a
true.
very peaceful coexistence with Canada. And Canada and the United States share a very secure and very large border.
But we
can-
haven't done the
it-
same
it
with our
can-
southern
Right.
neighbor.
We
That's
need
correct.
to, but
Yeah.
or any of them.
but there are very serious problems with not creating a hemispheric. This goes hundreds of years back to the Monroe Doctrine, where we focused on peace in the Americas and prosperity in the Americas, and fuck the old world, fuck Europe, all their bullshit.
Yeah. Fuck 'em.
We need to focus on being better friends to these countries, and a lot of it comes from an ancient hatred between the Protestants and the Catholics in Europe that we brought over with us, and that's a very dangerous thing, and it's clearly undermined like a lot of trust between countries. And there's a lot of like ethnic, connection to the Canadians, or so we think. But we need to focus on increasing the ability for South American and Central American nations to achieve their levels of prosperity and cultural stability. Well, not cultural, but economic and political stability, so that we don't have these runs on the border. That's the only way you solve this. Trump's not going to solve this with a wall. The wall will be breached within 5 seconds.
Correct.
By
you
somebody.
either fly over it or you dig a hole under it.
Well, yeah,
Good
there's
swimmers can be good climbers.
or
Or sail around it.
Or ability to pass becomes a black market commodity. That's
Yeah.
what happens whenever you put a wall up on anything, economic or physical. People are going to find a way through, and the way through is far more dangerous. Same with drugs.
People from Cuba sail on fucking rafts made of trucks to Florida.
Well,
Like,
yeah, and the Gulf Coast is a relatively safe crossing point
Building
for a lot of
walls.
people, and the more prosperous, the more free, and the more economically viable these countries are, the more peaceful the coexistence. And we need to fuck Europe. Okay, people look at Europe and they're like, "Oh, Europe's doing so great." Europe's a fucking mess. Asia is a ticking time bomb between would-be superpowers and just nonsense. Great trading partners. We should always be friends with everybody. But if we're going to focus on foreign relations, it has to be with Central and South America because those are our neighbors. And the whole border crisis is completely run by the fact that fucking Honduras is in its 37th revolution this month. And it's only the fucking 20th or whatever. These countries need to be stabilized, and they need to have the economic prosperity to become just a viable counterpoint to
Right.
us.
right.
We should have the same level of security and trust and prosperity on both sides of the border between us and Mexico that we do
That's a
between
phenomenal
us
point.
and Canada. You cannot solve the border crisis any other way. You never will until the Caribbean is prosperous, until Central America is prosperous, and until South America is prosperous and treated with the same respect and trading cooperation that we have with Canada. We are not going to do it. We're not going to solve the border crisis, and we're going to have
Right.
kids in fucking cages.
Because we have these imaginary lines that we call
Borders.
borders, but we have to accept that we're all on the same piece of land. We're all on the same continent, and we have a responsibility as neighbors, which really that word can be argued, but we have a responsibility as human beings. To
It's not. I wouldn't even call it a responsibility or an obligation. It's just the smart thing to do.
well, but
What's
we
the
are
safest thing to do?
responsible.
It's the
because
safest thing to
we
do. Well, no, I get it. I
are-
know
we've intruded
we're
a lot.
responsible for the shitty relations. We're responsible for this crisis. We are, but I'm not. But to kind of bring it back to like the beginning, it's more than just. I wouldn't call it a responsibility. More than just. It's just the good thing to do, right? Like,
Agreed.
Well, we also need to stop seeing non-Anglicanized white countries of the Americas as unequal opportunities for economic investment.
Correct.
right.
And it is historically easier for us, I think, to try to find that bond with Canadians, not us personally, but I think as
America.
Americans, they're a very white, very Protestant, very Anglican
Very white.
country. They are very white.
Very white.
But good portions of the United States are of Spanish and Portuguese descent, of Catholic heritage. I mean, it's time to kind of let these old European rivalries go.
Yeah.
And we really need to start. And the Monroe Doctrine is 60 something years old,
yeah.
but it
like
had
that one,
it had an incredible point, which is to say fuck you to Europe because they're a mess. people think of Europe as the highlight of culture. Great. We got a lot of Renaissance and Enlightenment ideals from them. Fucking phenomenal. Okay, but they've been at war for centuries. You think we live in an age where Europe hasn't been at war. Only our generation has seen a peaceful Europe. Think about that.
Yeah.
Fuck them. Okay, they're a fucking mess. Angela Merkel's about to lose her ruling coalition in Germany.
Merkel's.
You know, with her
So
fucking... she's over here leading the Viertreich.
Getting starburst thrown at her.
Fucking... Yes, let's...
Can you do that one more time?
Viertreich. The Fourth Reich.
I can feel it. I'm turning, Johnny.
Just keep that butt puckered. You know, but what happens? And then
Do that if
and
I
then,
tried.
well, seems to be your natural.
It's just not natural. for
Theater?
me.
Say
Theater?
theater.
Theater?
Like theater, but with
V
like
or a
a
TH?
like a V, like a
Theater?
VF.
Vietra?
Vieta?
Theater.
Vieta?
Vietra?
Vieta.
It's the TR.
Theater hike.
Oh, hike.
Viertreich.
Vietra hike. Ah,
Right.
Okay, the Fourth Reich. You can just call it the Fourth Reich.
the Fourth Reich.
German's like very back of the throat.
Okay, but she's got a weak and destabilizing ruling coalition in her parliamentary Republic of Germany, the new head of the Fourth Reich.
She got starburst thrown at her.
Well, we'll get to that. You know, Macron, Macaroni Grill in France just got fucking pummeled by his own local press that everybody loved him until they found out that he was trying to install a private pool at the presidential palace for himself. And they were like, why would you do that? That's kind of Versailles. We don't do that anymore.
He's the bourgeoisie!
Yes. And, you know, those fucking communists in the French Commune
Revolution!
suddenly realized that he was, oh my God, an investment banker for the Rothschilds for the longest time. And they were like, oh, maybe he really doesn't care.
Macaroni?
Macaroni.
Macaroni was an investment banker for the Rothschilds?
Yes, before he became, I believe, finance minister for France under the last administration.
Dog. Sounds like politics.
Yeah, it sounds like Europe. Well, it sounds like Europe. You know, Brexit is over here, maybe happening, maybe not. No one really knows. Theresa May is like, we need more confidence. Last year, she pulled a snap vote, lost a lot of shit, and everyone was like, well, what does this mean? And no one's figured it out since. Europe's a fucking mess. Okay, Trump has created a little bit of peace or stability, or at least hope for those things, with Kim Jong-un.
Lil Kim.
Yeah, Lil Kim.
Lil Kim.
And Rocket Man. And
Burning all his fuel out here alone.
and all I'm saying is that like we should really focus on the local teams. You know?
Yeah,
we should build
I
them
would
up.
agree with that.
Brazil is an awesome economic power. People forget
Yeah,
that Mexico
focusing so much on Europe and Asia is very like basic white girl of us to do. You know?
it's like always wanting to be friends with like your old high school chums and like always talking about, you know, I don't know. I used to go and like
Remember when we were
race
banging
in the-
cheerleaders in
Yes.
the locker room?
You know, we left that shit behind. We did. We left it behind. Mexico's like the world's 11th largest economy. Heads up for everybody that didn't know this, but Mexico actually, their official title is the United States of Mexico.
Yes.
I think people should,
This
you
is
know,
correct.
try to remember that
I
shit.
did not know that.
Mexico follows
Thank you,
the
Johnny.
state system.
They are a federal republic.
Yes, they are.
I didn't know they were the 11th largest
Yeah,
economy.
they're
Is that
fucking-
what
they're
you just
massive.
said?
They're massive.
Brent's butthole is puckering all
I was
over
sitting
the
here
place
thinking
right
we
now.
have a responsibility to help because we're in a position.
Mexico don't
No,
need no
they're like
fucking
sitting
help.
over
It's
there.
all the
They don't help.
countries
Well, then
south
they're
of
just
Mexico
hella
that
top
need help.
heavy. That's what it's got to be because I've been to Cabo on the outskirts and
No,
it
that's-
ain't looking good.
That's literally just for you
Oh,
to like
come
write
on.
home about.
Brent, go to Mississippi or something, okay?
Yeah,
it don't
no, it
look
doesn't.
so
It
good
doesn't
either.
look that
you know?
great.
You think
But
America's all
Mexi-
perfect.
But
and
Mexico,
that's
Mexico
fair.
City is. I think Mexico City is the actual largest city in the Americas. It is the largest and most developed. It's huge.
It's dense as fuck, too.
Massive, and it's beautiful. But Brazil is definitely in the top 20 for world economies.
Yeah.
Chile, one of the
Oh, yeah.
freest economies in the world.
Yeah. Chile
hungry.
is a very free economy.
Argentina still has a ways to go,
Which
but
is
they're-
very
But
interesting
they're
to
a
me
massive
because-
economy as well.
Because South American economies are generally not very free.
Well, they opened theirs up about 20 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And they've made huge strides. But Panama is the world's gateway. It is the bridge between oceans, and it's how Europe can effectively trade with Southeast Asia and the Pacific instead of going around Africa and through the Suez Canal. Central and South America are integral to our prosperity, and we are just as integral to theirs. And the more we undermine them and undermine confidence, it's like people always want like dictatorships like in Venezuela to be overthrown tomorrow. Or if people remember Reagan with, little interventions here and there. These things take time, but if people have confidence in their own economic abilities,
Well, it
they
took just
will,
as long to install these dictatorships.
Right. They will abandon them. That's all it is. Chile is an excellent example of that. Yes, a little helicopter action, but to get the commies out. But people will reject. People only want
Peter.
communism and
Helicopter
socialism if they feel their economic system is
Love that
falling apart
movie.
around them.
Helicopter idols in the distance.
If I could bring this back just a bit, because something is that all right if I bring this back? Because we derailed a little bit, like normal. But if something that really bothers
Typical.
me, yeah, just that's what we do. But something that really is being highly ignored is the fact that the real issue here is not that kids are in cages. Nobody wants to see a kid in a cage. Totally get that. However, everyone's opinions on that is being shaped by the root issue, which is, should we arrest people running into the States illegally?
Yes.
There is a massive group of people that think, absolutely, that's common sense, that's logic. Why on earth would you think anything else? That's really fucking stupid. And then there's a large group of people who are like, we should be welcoming to all. We should absolutely embrace all these people. Oh, look, a kid's in a cage. Take a picture, throw it up on Facebook, and now we have ourselves a political debate. And that's the problem, is that people don't really... They're using this scenario of 5% and 55, which is something that...
Well, that was
I
at a private concentration camp.
Well, that's true.
It was run by the Lutherans.
This is also pretty this is pretty standard procedure, right? I mean, people are going to use these things to push an agenda. Right?
Correct.
Because especially the
And it's
Democrats,
important that
because
we
they're trying to turn
recognize-
their blue trickle into a blue wave still, and I don't know if it's going to
Well,
happen.
and that's somewhat the liberal MO is, let me hit this emotional chord, this appeal that will tag people at their hearts.
Yeah.
But
I
it's
mean,
actually in reality a small
Republicans do it
situation.
too,
Yeah,
but-
that's true. I shouldn't put it on, but it's something that I do see
liberals
a
are
lot.
just louder about it.
That's correct. Perhaps that's really what it is. Is just that they're
Because
they're a little
conservatives
more-
don't have feelings.
That's why they make amazing trolls.
I just feel that that's the problem here. When you see a kid in a cage, what we should be saying is, what is the way America wants to be? Do we want to let people in, open, free, no borders?
Well,
Obviously
see,
that's not what the world we live in right now.
Well, I don't think that's the world anybody's ever lived in.
And so they're going to take a picture of a kid in a cage and go kicking and screaming about it and crying in the room, but they've already lost the war.
Well, poll numbers seem to suggest that no one really cares what liberals
How puckered's your butthole right now?
want.
Mightily puckered.
Good, keep it that tight.
Just gotta ice cube that shit.
Looking like a crater.
Get it right. Get it tight.
And once you're there, keep it there. I don't know. I don't think the debate about immigration. I don't know that anybody has ever done it any differently. There are points of entry. Okay, nobody a century ago came through.
Are we still euphemizing?
We could.
I'm trying to figure out what conversation I'm being a part of right now.
The one you pull back to.
Okay.
But what do you want
Just don't pull out.
in an immigration policy? No, it's all the same. It's all the same.
I filtered that and then Sean said it.
No, you don't have to. But it's all the same. Like, the reason is why
not about
you have to
filtering
figure
it,
out
just
why
about
they're
it.
coming here, though. Why people are willing to do such
Yeah,
dangerous
that's the greater
maneuvers.
issue, right? And that's how we got into.
But how else?
Brexit.
But there, we've never handled it any differently. If you crossed into the country illegally a century ago, the exact same thing would happen to you. Probably worse, because I think a century ago we were closing out a war.
What are human rights?
Well, but people came through Ellis Island, Angel Island, and various other points of entry. Like, these were points of entry. Like, if you wanted to get into the country, this is what you had to fucking do. And it's not so much that I really don't want closed borders. I don't want, heavily restricted immigration. I don't want merit-based immigration. I think people should be able to come here however they want. I don't really think there should be a cap on immigration, but I definitely would say that there needs to be a maintained point of entry. These need to be the only places that you can
Like a
enter.
funnel?
Yeah.
Like
I think it's
an immigrant funnel?
yes. Put them through. I mean, if we're expecting people to come here in large numbers, how else would you want that done? We don't live. I love the libertarian philosophy of like freedom of movement. I think that's great, but we're not in that political reality, and we have to figure out a way to make this as humane as comfortable for both parties.
What the fuck are you laughing
I'm
about?
sorry. About 4 minutes ago or 5 minutes ago, I
Jesus
made
Christ,
this
we have
entire
moved on.
conversation really sexual, and I haven't been able to get out. If you're listening to this, I encourage you to rewind 5 minutes and put it in that context. And this is going to be a really
Listen,
fun conversation.
Go masturbate.
We all know that you've been masturbating right here. It's fine. No one stopped you.
All right, I'm
God.
going to bring it back, guys. I promise. I'm going to bring it back. And if I don't, I'm going to take another shot of that Patron.
Okay. Did you even take one?
No, or I'll take my first shot of the
Okay.
Patron.
Let's keep it
Wow.
on the real levels.
Okay.
It's been a good time.
Yeah. What were you saying, Johnny? Continue.
Sorry to laugh.
No, it's fine. You were
We're just
masturbating.
talking about things being great for both parties, and I couldn't get away from it. I'm sorry.
Listen, it's fine. Whatever lubricates.
Liberal Kates.
Liberal kids.
But how would you want immigration? How would you want immigration to go? In your perfect world, if you had to make it, how would you want it? Fine. Brent, how would you want immigration?
Yeah, I'm kind of right where Sean is. I'm really thinking about it. I'm not going to lie. I like it the way it is. I would have it be...
Do you like it the way it is? After this entire conversation we just had, do you really like it the way it is?
I like it that you have to go through proper channels and be, quote, documented in order to be a legal citizen of the United States. And if you don't play by the rules, America is our sandbox. We get to create the rules on how we play in our sandbox. You have to be punished for that.
Off of that, would you prefer people to come through whoever wants to? People can come through specific points of entry, be documented for residency, but not for citizenship. You can be a legal resident. There's no timestamp on it. You just have to be a documented person that lives in this country. You don't have, the Constitution applies to you overarchingly, but you don't have like voting rights. You don't
If it
have
were my
right
choice,
access to like.
you
public
just
speaking.
have to be accounted for. We can put
So just
that into
residency.
So
different-
documented.
We can put it
Just
into different
residence.
classifications, but we need to know you're here. We need to be able to. We need to know if you go to a bar and get arrested with your kid because you're a dumbass parent, where to send that kid to. Where is home? We need to know.
See,
But those are the
what
things the
part
cops
of the
ask when they're
populace-
arresting.
Right.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying
They
that
don't have a database that they're just like.
you have to
their
be able to
car.
commit action within our sandbox with accountability.
so just documented residency.
I think so. Yeah.
I would agree with that.
This
I
is
don't
something
really-
I'm answering on the spot with.
I mean,
minimal thought into it.
I
but
have
yeah.
thought about this because of just talking about it for so long, but I have no problem. I don't want, migration restrictions. I don't really care about all that. I just want residency to be documented at a point of entry. If you're a criminal, depending on the crime, I mean, if you got like a traffic ticket, I don't care about. I don't think that should like preclude you from entrance. I mean,
Right.
domestic violence or serious charges, manslaughter, things like that, because the other countries that we are talking about across the Americas, they are real
the
countries.
universe.
They do have like laws and like books and things like that. Like they have
Books and
records.
things.
These are. There are very few countries that don't actually have like the records on their citizens in a similar fashion that we do. And those
Generally in books and things, though.
or computers.
A lot of
Computers
countries
and
don't
things.
have computers for that shit.
What countries, Sean?
The Philippines.
We're not talking about the third world here.
Oh, there's no third world countries in South and Central America?
Nope.
Those aren't countries; those are nations.
Oh my fucking
This is the Americas. This is the Americas. This is God's promised land. All of it. I don't know. Fuck it. I think we should just invade everything and just make it all the United States.
Speaking of invasions and invading things, Trump wants a space force.
Seems to be the best way to conquer a planet.
Is he gonna? Does he want to beat Elon Musk to Mars? Is that what's going on here?
No, but if Musk is going to be like, first of all, China just had a successful test with a rail gun. Okay, I think we should find a way to beat that. I'm not really comfortable with China having like advanced weaponry on that scale.
A railgun?
Yes, they claim it's ready in the mid
you know what a
2020s
railgun
for
is?
military use.
Yeah. Like there was a railgun in Halo. You should know this, Sean.
It's a
Bitch!
That was Sean's challenged face.
I wasn't a huge Halo nerd.
Guess whose butt's puckered now?
I just feel like there's so much better things we could spend our time and energy on.
We're not even
Anything
we're not even
space-
giving the kids real beds, okay? The least we could do
anything
is spend our
space
money.
Is so my penis is bigger than, which is definitely
Fuck you. Space
Trump.
is dope.
Okay.
I agree, but kids are in cages, Sean.
We already decided we didn't care about them.
People are also living
I-
in tents in modern cities,
I
Brent. What's your
submit
fucking point?
that I just
Are you asking
are-
for some
those are
sort of
pre-
utopian society?
Now we're just talking about
Fine.
personal choices going
Yeah,
bad,
I
okay?
know.
Fuck those people.
I guess you could always make the argument that there's something more
important.
responsible to spend your money on.
So
and
what
if
are we
did that, we'd
okay,
never
what
have
are we
fun as a
supposed to
country.
do? What are we supposed to do when China and Russia are not going to abide, potentially India, are not going to abide by any treaty that keeps military assets out of space?
Why
That's
do we
a
care
viable
what happens in space?
because as
Don't
war,
fuck
as,
with our satellites, and we're good.
as war because they will
yeah,
as
I know.
war as
I know. Wishful
war
thinking,
technology-
right?
Bitch, do you watch science fiction?
Yes, it's not even science fiction.
That shit comes true,
As
bro.
it's
I
real
saw the Hunger
history.
Games.
As war technology advances, an ground infantry is nothing compared
is so
to air
offended.
control, and air control is nothing compared to control of the higher plane of space. If we're gonna have wars,
I have seen an orbital bombardment. Okay. It's not good. You don't want it. You don't want it.
I'll
Thank you, Star Wars. No, but in real terms,
orbital bombardment.
Orbital
Say that 10
bombardment.
times fast.
Orbital
I have.
bombardment.
That's a theater exercise for you.
Okay.
it depends on what he wants to do with this.
We were talking about war, and now you're getting all limp wristed.
Does the same for me too. I'm into it.
It does the same.
What were you saying? So this is. I mean, it's Trump. It's kind of a dick measuring thing.
Well, it sounds bombastic because it is Trump, but logistically, I would rather the U.S. military be heavily placed in space
I
than
mean, it's
China.
not like we haven't had a space race before.
Right.
We have, and everybody in this day and age speaks back to that. Like, this was this wonderful, pivotal period of innovation, and it's so nostalgic. And where did
It was
that
a whole
go?
lot of dick measuring and paranoia.
We are so into technology now these days. Why aren't we like that anymore? And I would completely agree that is something that brought the nation together back then. It would be really great to have that now. I just don't know what is it going to be that does that to us, where people look up at the moon at night and feel like we're a nation. And it's...
I don't really.
When they see the
Never going
when they
to
see
happen.
the charred,
I don't really
when
care
they
for that
see
feeling.
the fucking charred remains of a Chinese communist flag on the moon that we fucking obliterated with a whole nuclear warhead. Okay, that's what's gonna bring us together.
It won't happen if Trump is president when it happens.
I don't really care.
Then
for
why
that
are his
feeling.
poll numbers up?
I don't really care for that feeling. I don't.
I'm with you 100%. But there is no way this country's just never been more divided than it is now, and it's because every
The
political
Civil War
thing
where
is
we
because
killed
of Trump.
Yeah. How about the
Good or
Civil
bad?
fucking War?
Well, that's true. Okay, second most divided we've
What
ever
about
been.
what about when we weren't even
was rather
attached to the
millennial
physical
of me.
part of the United States? When the Louisiana Purchase was just a vast
I
fucking
should know better
wasteland.
than to just throw out.
When
permanent
Oregon was
blanket
owned
statements.
by the Canadian provinces,
Johnny
run
and
by the
John.
crown.
When California was owned by Mexico.
Okay, so there have been other times where we've been pretty divided. We're pretty divided now.
When
and
we
I
when we kicked the royalists out of the fucking country and sent them to Ottawa when we broke away after independence.
both
I
Sean
don't
and Johnny.
don't
away.
even know if we're that divided. People are just loud. People are just shouting. They're
Yeah,
screaming,
maybe.
right? I mean,
It's
you
just
have
the
fucking
habit of
some-
very effective microphones.
You have like Yellow Jacket guy who's forever famous on Inauguration Day on his knees, screeching autistically.
That was a woman.
Well, you know, liberals can be pretty androgynous. Okay, so
Are you sure?
it's a thing. They do it. That's fine.
An
Whatever.
interesting way to say unattractive, but yes, keep going.
You know, and
Pretty androgynous.
on their knees.
No,
on
listen,
their
I've
knees.
never jacked
Or-
off to images of Tilda Swinton, okay? Like, androgynous doesn't do it for me. I need you to be holding like a bear's head, like covered in muscle.
and hairy.
Not always, but it helps.
You lost me at on their knees.
What?
You lost me at on their knees.
Well, you know, that's where most
where
of
he
them
got
are right now,
focused.
anyway. On their knees. Trying
Puckerus Maximus over here.
trying to build a blue wave on their knees. Kick out the GOP.
Just see our neighbors.
I did. I see it every fucking day when I walk my dog.
I almost just want to put like a little post underneath it. But I can't. That's
I just want to put a
defamation.
post-it
It's
that
not
just says "lol." That's all I want to. I mean, I don't like the GOP either, but let's be honest, they're not really going anywhere.
They're a lot more fun.
They are also a lot more fun. I mean, Republicans are great at trolling these days. I don't know when they got funny.
It was sometime in late 2015. It had to be.
You know, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Sassy Massey was a ton of fun when the Trump administration first kicked off.
I think it was Obama, to be honest. That was like their coping mechanism. During those 8 years, they learned how to troll. That's how they dealt with it.
It's true. And
I'm
then,
not- I'm
and
being
then
serious.
the
I mean, it
internet
sounds
elected
stupid
a
as-
president.
Right. And now and now the internet elected a president, and Republicans are good at trolling now.
Well, no. Republicans
You know, I
now
have
troll
to say,
freely.
I did go back and watch his rally in Duluth, Minnesota,
Oh yeah.
and it. One, I'm not sure that I agree or disagree with anything he said because he never actually said
It's a
anything.
good place to be.
Yes, it's very comfortable to be
Yeah.
in the Midlands.
Yeah.
You know, no pun intended for Minnesota. But
Eh.
Johnny is on it with the accents. today.
listen, the South. We love our South Canadian brothers, okay? But it was the most hilarious.
Americans.
It is literally, if you have time and you have nothing to do, you should all go unpack a bowl and watch this fucking rally. Because it is hilarious from start to, first of all, like him with, it's going to go down in history. It has to go down in history. Him and like one protester who he was like shouting back at him, and he was like, "Get out of here, get him out of here, darling." And he was like, "Is that a man or a woman?" I couldn't tell. And like in a sea full of very, very white Norwegian heritage,
Yeah.
very polite, not that night, but you know, Minnesotans. And you could tell that they were all Vikings
Really
fans.
good.
It's not. That's not Kanye's Midwest.
No, it's not. No. This
Really
is
not.
further. This is North Midwest.
Yeah.
Like it's still snowing. It's June.
Yeah.
They were praising ice hockey at one point, and I was like, "How much beer have I had? What's going on?" But it was a phenomenally hilarious moment in time, and I loved every second of it. I've never laughed harder.
Yeah.
I've never laughed harder. I can't say I agree or disagree with anything, but great time. Great time.
Oh my god, that's so fun. That's so much fun. In a room full of Americans here, I'm going to ask: has anyone been not that I have watching the World Cup? Because apparently that's relevant, and I didn't find out it was going on until I actually logged on to Facebook, which I haven't been doing for the past couple of weeks now.
I caught a little bit of the Mexico-Germany game. Totally rooted for Mexico. Like I said, you got to root for the neighbors.
Yeah. Well, they beat Germany, did they not?
I think they did. Yeah, I had to go to
Mexico
work.
beat Germany.
Yeah.
The only reason why I know that is because
You live in California, and there's tons of Mexican people here.
no, actually, it's
Oh.
because I listen to King's News and they are
Yep.
reporting on the World Cup. So I know all about the World Cup a little bit, but that's only because I was trying to hear about the draft.
God, I hate.
Which is taking place in our hometown.
Yeah.
It happened maybe 3 hours ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fun times.
I hate the off season for most sports.
You know, the NBA
It's
offseason
theater, Sean.
really good.
You're supposed to love this. It's theater. You guys were jacking off each other earlier about this exact
Football
subject.
off season is also painful. Like when you try to watch like the NFL Network during like off season for football, it's just the most painful shit in the world.
You know, the NBA has done a good job. Summer League the finals are followed by the draft, is followed by free agency, is followed by the summer league, and then the season starts.
God, I don't even like summer league. I don't like watching pros play in high school gyms.
You know, Sean, you can't get everything you want sometimes.
No,
That's all I'm saying.
I know. That's fine. I mean, what if we had a football summer league where they like play at
That will never happen due to the
5x5s at
that
a
will never
middle
happen.
school?
There will never be an NFL summer league because it will cause injuries and then
Thank God.
problems are happening. But
Not thank God for
But
the injuries.
the World Cup is one of those things in Sacramento. I am not into soccer,
Sacramento's
But we're
big
gonna be
into
hosting.
soccer,
but
though.
there has been a big increase in interest this year, especially since given just before the beginning, the start of the World Cup, it was announced that the USA is going to host.
Well, I thought it was really.
World
I
Cup
thought,
in 8 years.
Three-part. It's North America is going to host the World Cup.
That's
Yeah.
true. I see what you did there.
Neighbors.
See what you did.
Neighbors. Listen, this is a potential. This is a moment for
Neighbors.
peace.
That's true.
For peace and prosperity. So
That's the name of a gay
Mexico,
bar somewhere.
the U.S. Listen, we can do this. It's possible. But Mexico, the United States, and Canada are jointly going to be hosting
It's actually
the 2026 World Cup and the entire events. So, like all
This
three.
is a grand opportunity for everything we were discussing earlier.
Yeah, it's
happen.
huge. And the thing is that people feel like Mexico and the United States are constantly like at a close state of war. It's
Embattled.
not true. The governments of Mexico and the United States have been at peace for 160 years at this point.
Oh yeah.
We have a fairly solid relationship with the Mexican government, despite their many different changes in government and ours. It has been fine. It's been fine. And this is a chance for us to be very neighborly.
And like we said earlier, Mexico isn't even like a problem country.
Well, there are a lot of drug cartels
Sure.
that run entire states.
Right.
But we have the same
We have the same
problem.
fucking thing.
I know.
And
We
we
just
won't
have
run out of
social.
beer,
See,
so-
they're over there funneling drugs. Our cartels are selling socialism to the masses.
Yeah, so that's fine.
Yeah.
you know, it's what
it
it's,
ruins cities like Portland and Seattle and San Francisco and Los Angeles. The
to
great
think of it.
American cities. It's definitely ruined Stockton. But
safe injection sites. Safe injection sites.
For as shitty as a soccer community that we have in the United States, we're going to make a really good host with Mexico right next to us.
Yeah.
Mexico's going to handle all the drug intake.
soccer is.
We'll make sure all
soccer
of our
is
beer
statistically-
game is on point.
I believe soccer is statistically the most popular sport in the United
world.
States right
That's
now.
correct. No.
Yeah. Soccer is played by more people in the United States.
And Canada will handle the poutine.
yeah.
But
our generation.
played by the most people, perhaps.
Our
Enjoy.
generation.
Followed
No,
by
no,
the
no, no.
most
I
people?
promise you, even a
I
couple,
don't think
even,
so.
Our generation.
even a couple years ago when we went to the bar, all of a sudden people would swarm in for the soccer matches.
It's because of all the illegals.
Well, also them.
That's
But-
what I'm going.
Okay, Texas.
No,
Okay.
I was trying to
No,
bring
that's
it full
some Arizona
circle.
bullshit right there.
But I don't think that's true. Maybe
Soccer.
it is followed by. It's always been the NFL, baseball, NBA. That's always been the order. And then
Okay,
maybe
no.
hockey.
You're talking about leagues. We're talking about sports.
Yeah.
There's a difference. We're not talking about
I'm
leagues.
looking at you weird, Sean.
We're not talking about the MLS versus the rest of like the NBA, the NFL, and MLB.
Yeah.
We're talking about soccer, not in the form of the leagues. We're talking about the sport
You're
as a whole.
talking about Americans watching overseas soccer.
yeah,
or
like
football.
like Real Madrid and FC Barcelona and all that other stuff. Yeah, we're talking about
It's fairly
Americans
popular.
watching football.
It is increasingly popular, but here in Sacramento, we're very proud of the Republic of Sac Republic.
Millennials love football.
Yeah, they do because it helps them
Football.
feel. Well, I think in different ways.
It's a cultural. We want to be cultured.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't see
it's
anyone.
but
watching
also, ours
football.
is the first generation.
Well, you're
that
a
was
straight
forced-
white male, okay?
What do I know?
Who lives in the suburbs?
Could've
Yeah.
done with some city sports.
Totally not sheltered.
But to be honest, like we're the generation that played city soccer.
We did.
We
And Sacramento
literally
actually-
are.
I have
Sacramento
never done
actually
that.
has one of the highest per capitas
Yes.
of registration of city soccer players in the nation.
Yeah, it's
Like-
massive. Youth sports with soccer here is like the thing in California.
It's huge. It's
Maybe
huge.
it's just not been a
Huge.
part of my life experience, but soccer literally for me has been that thing parents force their kids to do young. They grow out of it at age 9, and then they're doing something more suburban, like
American football.
lacrosse. You know,
Well, no, that's a
that's
northeast
in the
thing.
same. That's in the
That's a
same zone.
northeast thing.
But my point is that
We don't
maybe
do that here
I'm
on
just
the
one
West
of those
Coast.
specimens that had the exposure to soccer has been super limited, but I have not had any experience.
I wasn't
I don't think I've
It's
ever
definitely
played
increasing.
a soccer game in my life.
It's definitely increasing.
Well, and in Sacramento, it's increasing because of the possible MLS that might be moving into.
But you
Sacramento.
no, even years ago
no.
when you
Y'all are
Sac Republic was put here simply because they knew they had the audience, and I don't think Sac Republic has had
Well, that's because
a game that wasn't. Sac Republic has never had a game that's been not sold out, right?
They have, but I mean, it's only barely.
By like a few like dozen seats or something like
Yeah.
that, because they have massive crowds at every single game.
Yeah.
because of the illegal. No, I'm joking.
There's a lot of white people at those games, bro. I've been. Okay, listen.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, that's
Yes.
true. I know
Our-
a few that go.
My people.
So.
I just can't get into soccer. I've tried. Soccer and hockey, I've tried.
I can't either.
I can't do it.
It's
I
a
can't do
terrible
it.
sport.
I don't know if I would call it that. It's just not
It
one
is.
that interests me.
It's a terrible.
No, baseball's
game.
a terrible sport.
Agreed.
Soccer.
The world of sports should be ruled by football and basketball And if I want to see someone beat the shit out of someone else while a referee watches, hockey. The end.
No. That's no UFC. Thank you very much.
That's a good one, and I love it. Throw in some League of Legends, and we'll call it a night.
Okay, esports.
I just sent you guys something that I think is hilarious. So if you want to take a quick look at your cellular devices.
Oh God, father of 2-year-old face of the child separation crisis speaks. Dennis Javier Varela Hernandez said he has not heard from his wife for a month until he saw the image of her and their daughter being apprehended in Texas. Where have you been, Denise?
Well, he's in Honduras. But this
Why
child...
wasn't he coming up here?
Because he lives in Honduras. But the point of this
So did they?
The point of this is that the child that's the face of this little red coat girl has never been separated from her mother the entire time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whoops.
But people would argue that that's not true because this is the Daily Mail. And
This
it's
literally
fake
just
news.
This literally just broke. I don't know what to tell you, but it literally just like popped up. Listen, this
I
is
could use a Daily Nail.
Why are you
What?
looking at me?
The fuck?
You're already too tight.
I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. It was there. Come on. Stop looking at me like that. It was there.
Christ on the
You
cross.
said it. It came from your
I
mouth.
said Daily Mail, not Daily Nail.
You said nail.
I said
it's
mail.
on recording.
You heard nail.
We're going to go back and listen.
That's fucking fine.
okay. $10, Sean.
I'll let you guys do this when you figure out who's
Even if
tighter.
I lose the bet,
2
I don't have the
drinks.
money to give you, so that's fine.
Oh, damn.
So
Jesus
that's fine,
Christ,
and
you
that's
guys
on
are
Time
precious.
Magazine.
Yeah, that's probably gonna get a Republican Congress. Is what it's gonna get.
hey, that's appropriate because the background's red.
But this is the shit that we were talking about. They will always go to like the nth degree to make sure that they
To
can
the
like,
extreme.
all the way out there. And it's like, guess what? This is gonna blow up in your face. I'll just have to wait like 3 hours.
Oh
Boom.
God, it reminds me of those shirts people were wearing where it said, "It's not rigged, you're just losing," or "Spoiler alert, Hillary wins."
And I'm like, what a great picture. Guess what? You just got pointed out as a fraud. You fucking liar. Why? This is the exact same thing.
I'm
that
sure
I've
that
always
guy
said.
Rachel Maddow will have something to say about this.
No, he'll never bring it up. Okay? He will never bring it up. This is the thing that they always do. It's always for the visual. It's always for the emotional impact.
Correct.
It has no bearing when it comes to
It's
reality.
emotional pandering.
But here's the thing. They'll abandon it. You'll never see that picture
No,
again.
you'll never hear about it again. You'll never see it.
It is
It's like how
literally-
David Hogg faded into the distance.
It is the problem with politics. That exact sequence of events. You see a photo and it's like you don't even have an opinion to think for yourself. Your initial gut knee-jerk reaction is, how can I make that work for this narrative I've signed up for 8 years ago because I was raised in a family that believed this? Not, what are the facts? What do I believe? And how does that make me feel? And what is ethically right for
Right.
each individual scenario? If you're listening to this and you've ever done that, and that shit happens on Facebook all the time, where you'll see something and you'll be inclined to resist it if it opposes you without even doing research or having an opinion for yourself. It is okay to be against something that doesn't typically align with where you lean, but because people don't have their own fucking opinions, they just instantly see something and try to force it into their own narrative that they pre-established 8 years ago, and it drives me nuts. If you've ever done that, you are the problem with politics, and you need to start thinking about that by a situation basis.
Well, and I
I'm
think
done.
and that's fine. That's true. It's absolutely true. And I think that people
News
also
outlets have media marketing departments.
well,
I'm just saying.
there's a reason they went for that over investigative journalism, because nobody actually knows what the fuck is going on here?
Right.
And in fact, the first person that like I said, Brooke Baldwin talked to the immigration officer today and had that conversation with him. And it was he offered a very different dynamic than what's been spread by CNN and Brooke Baldwin herself. There's people are over here like the cries of children, they hurt my heart. And I'm like, yes, that should hurt you.
It should, and you're fucking stupid for
you're-
not
yeah,
doing research. Sorry.
You're not. It's not bad that it upsets you, but it is bad that you, as an adult, especially an adult with children.
Brent's so triggered right now.
I know, but I am. Hold on, because I don't because if I distract myself, then I'll call out my friends on Facebook, and I don't want to do that. That have been upset by the cries of children without thinking about the situation that these children have been put in. Okay, yes, they did not ask to be detained like this, but they also didn't ask for their parents to do something illegal and dangerous with their own lives.
Right.
And just to kind of put on a side cherry, not on the top of the sundae, but definitely like somewhere on the side of the bowl,
Sounds sloppy.
I'm going to need somebody to explain to me where in the world a person can live with no legal framework or right to exist there for upwards of 30, 20, 40, whatever, pick a high number, years with no documentation in any country anywhere in this world. I'm going to need people to be like, for those people who are like, this father of 3 was an upstanding citizen. He was arrested by ICE after
even third
30
world countries are pretty on top of that.
after 30 years, and he was arrested and ripped from his family. And I'm like,
And look, he has a baseball cap on and looks good, so he must be a good father.
well, but all of that. But I'm also like, I have
Well,
friends that have been
You
that
can't
have been
assume
in
he's
this.
a bad dad either.
Well, yeah,
Well, I
he's a-
can if he's dragging his daughter across the,
I'm talking about people.
border.
I'm talking about people who have lived here for decades.
Oh, I understand. Sorry.
and it's like,
I was too busy being triggered.
well, double check your pucker. It just there's. At what point are you like, I really don't have any paperwork. Maybe I should go and talk to somebody about that.
Right.
I think after 30 years, that gets a little scary.
Okay, but what are you gonna do? You're gonna get arrested at getting a fucking pizza at Pizza Corner in fucking downtown Fucksville, Ohio? Like, what a fucking asshole!
It's Domino's, and they're paving roads.
They're not doing it in Ohio. That was like in Virginia. I don't even think Ohio has Domino's.
I thought you were going to say I don't think Ohio has roads.
No, they have roads. They've had roads. It's
going to be like, damn, Cleveland does not rock.
Damn.
No, we saw that in the Drew Carey show.
That was filmed in Hollywood, okay?
Also, how else would you drive through it and get to another state?
Better have a 4x4.
You fly.
Thank you. No, that's out.
Oh, right.
Fuck you. Ohio is a wonderful place to be. In some places.
Except fuck the Browns.
No.
Yeah, fuck the Browns.
Fuck the Browns.
No, the Browns are going to be awesome because if the Browns can do it, so can the Kings. That's where it always goes.
We've
to
never
my
said
head.
that. I've
No,
never said
no.
That's
that.
what I've said.
I've always been like, wow, at least the Kings win some games sometimes.
It's true.
Fuck
if
the
there's
Browns.
someone
And the
worse
Kings
off
were
than the
good
Kings.
much more recently than the Browns
I agree.
were.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck the Browns.
My father doesn't even remember a time the Browns were good.
The Browns haven't been good since the merger. Okay.
Yeah.
But what the fuck is wrong with people that are gonna be like that? 30 years, 40 years, 20 years, whatever you want to pick, just chilling. What are you doing? You could easily have taken care of this at some point in your life and been like, hey, I should probably take care of this. It's literally just paperwork. And it's not like people are like, they need to pay taxes. They're paying taxes, okay? They're all paying
Jesus fucking Christ. They are
all
paying
immigrants are
taxes.
paying taxes. If they're renting an apartment, they're fucking paying taxes.
If they're
property
buying
tax.
shit, if they're making an income, they're paying fucking taxes.
Everything, yes. It's not like immigrants don't contribute. But, it's hard to have sympathy at that point. I can get like 2 years.
So I gotta ask, what can an immigrant expect? Yeah, what can an immigrant expect if they show up here illegally, and then try to go register? Well, what can they expect? Will they expect open arms and helpfulness? Or are they going to expect
That's a
ICE
good
to come
question.
raining
I've
down
never
and
thought
just
about
be
it from that
like,
perspective.
"Nah, motherfucker, you going back?"
well, hold on. What do you mean? Like showing up at the Rio Grande on the wrong side? Or are you talking about like a checkpoint?
Well, we're talking about these people who have been undocumented for 30 or so years, right? Like, first off,
Right.
how did they get here?
Well,
Second
that
off-
process is a lot lighter than immediate arrest. So you can,
But is that common knowledge?
yes.
Like if Trump came out and said, if you're here illegally,
It's not common culture, I don't think. though.
just
Yes,
Go
that's
register.
true,
It's not
Sean.
common culture.
That's
and
true,
we'll
Sean.
take care of you. Is that
because
has that
most
been
people
done?
are because a lot of people are just like, get damn illegals out.
But that's not how it
Go
works.
back to your country, bro.
That literally is not how it works. So obviously what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get an immigration lawyer who's going to look at that, and there are going to be like hard fines. Hold
Sean's
Hold
Southern
on.
voice is hilarious.
Sean's Southern voice is not
Go
Southern.
back to your country, Brownie.
That first of all, that's not Southern. That's some West Virginia shit. And yes, that's what tipped the scale for Trump. I get it. People who have never seen a Mexican
God.
in their life.
I can't.
I doubt even Taco Bell has locations in West Virginia. But I mean, obviously, what they're going to want to do is they're going to want to get an immigration lawyer. But I don't know what people want.
No, actually, no. You're to be serious here. No, it's a good idea. Like, listen. I have had friends who
Get
have,
a lawyer.
who have come here on visas, and then their visas
That have expired.
expired.
Did you just tell
and
an
they're
illegal immigrant to get a lawyer?
Hold
Yes.
on, bro.
Sorry. I'm listening.
I have had friends who have come here on visas, and their visas expired, so they're no longer technically legal, right? Or they're technically undocumented or whatever, right? You get an immigration lawyer. Listen, bro, you can score a green card like bam, motherfucker. It's like you can get it, and it's
green
unrestricted
card.
employment.
It's really not that hard.
It's not
what they're
that
called?
hard.
A dream card?
A green card, bro.
like I thought
And here's-
American
Well, I'm not
Dream,
talking
right?
DACA. That was like fucking 3 months ago.
But
Calm
here's
down.
dream
But here's
card.
the thing.
That's a good
Here's the
marketing
other
ploy.
thing about that, Sean. As you well know, all of these places are in liberal bastion cities.
Yeah.
There are immigration lawyers who will do everything
Listen,
to jack
bro,
off
if
onto
you
your
live in a
paperwork.
fucking sanctuary city and you're not talking to an immigration lawyer about getting a green card, you're a full-fledged idiot.
A dream card, Sean. A dream card.
Leave
That's
it,
a legit marketing idea.
Brent.
Get your dream card,
Brent,
guys.
Brent, leave it where we found it.
That's a good idea.
Ew, is that another theater term?
No.
No, I like American Dream. Get your dream. Like it's a marketing ploy for like getting illegal immigrants.
See, when you say dream
to
card, I
sign
think
up.
DACA.
You can be like, "Hey,
DACA.
Trump says get your dream card," and
Dreamers,
everyone's gonna be
dreamers.
like, "Yeah, oh
Dreamers,
yeah,
Listen.
protect
dream
the
card."
dreamers.
It's not. Listen, the only thing
Listen,
that's
it's-
hard. The only thing that's hard about
If you live in a-
citizenship is that it takes fucking forever.
It takes fucking forever. But there's other ways around.
Well, and
like, you
there's-
can be
there's
a
a-
legal resident. You can get a green card.
All you have to do is
And
like,
you get unrestricted employment.
Yes.
Like, you're basically a citizen without the citizenship.
here's
You
the
can
thing.
do all the other things Americans can
Here's the
fucking
thing.
do.
I am a straight white male that has
You haven't been tonight.
that has internet access at every day of my life, and I didn't know that. I did not know that the connotation around going and getting a dream card
You're also not at
was
DACA protest
simple,
rallies, okay?
easy,
Like,
and
listen,
invited.
You also don't need to know that.
you don't need to know that.
That's correct, but if
Don't
I'm
pull this into a privileged conversation. These people know where they stand, okay? You don't sit here for 30 years going, oh, I'm so undocumented. What should I do about that? You know what? Fucking nothing. And then...
okay, but just
Nobody
just
says
go there
that.
with me for a moment. If I'm an
Fucking
illegal
nothing.
immigrant working,
okay, Connor.
There, you gotta blend in. You gotta blend in.
Slow
Like,
down,
there has to,
McGregor.
you have to build a tree house and everything. Like,
What are you
that's
gonna
where
do?
you hide.
I'm illegal. What am I gonna do about it? Fucking nothing.
I emphasize the TH in that
I'm
because that's
just
fucking
saying.
nothing.
All right, so go there with me for a moment. The scenario is I'm an illegal
You're wrong.
immigrant. Okay. The end.
Sorry, I just wanted to see how tight that could get. Keep going.
The scenario is I'm an illegal immigrant. I live with someone that's legal but a little more privileged than I am, but not privileged at all enough. Doesn't have internet access, and I go to a 50s diner privately owned by a straight white 60-year-old rich guy.
Brent, it's called a fucking library.
And I don't know where to go for that shit.
You've been here for 30 years. You don't know where the library is?
How are you gonna be if you're gonna be okay? Like this is way too specific of a situation.
Don't you think we could do a little bit better job? If
I don't think we
don't
should care.
know
I don't think we should care.
if they're in our borders, we should care because they're.
I
our
don't
business.
think we should care.
Whether
The three
they're
of us.
ours or not, they are our business.
Well,
They're not our business.
And you've also, what are you talking about? You've lived your entire life not caring about this until this moment where you suddenly had like opinions on what a 30-year undocumented person.
I wouldn't say
should do.
that's true. If you're listening to this, that's not true.
You haven't cared about any of this until
can-
tonight.
Omit the last 15 seconds of this podcast.
What are you talking about? You've been blissfully ignorant of this plight.
No, that's not true. I know I push out there that I'm the straight white suburban male, but this
Because
is
he
something
is.
It's
that
only
I
because
actually
you-
care
That's
about.
factual, ladies
That
and
is
gentlemen.
factual,
Number one,
but
like
it does
Despite the masturbation and the puckering.
it does not give me an opinion outside of my own control.
how is that not suburban?
I've never done that in the suburbs. I've only done that in the urban core.
Those
But
suburban-
you're also but you're just not straight.
I was in the suburbs.
Johnny had there's a movie plot here. So, little Johnny left the suburbs and got his gay.
And I found him there too. I was just talking about
I
acting.
feel like Steve Martin could play the role.
Yeah, he's good.
I was raised a young black boy.
In the super racist suburbs of Elk Grove.
In your McMansions.
Where were we?
No, undocumented immigrants specifically are gonna know these things.
I just
They
don't.
all-
I don't
they
buy
all
that
know.
That's actually true.
What are you fucking talking about? There's billboards everywhere about this shit. It's constantly just being shouted from the fucking rooftop.
Are there billboards about this shit?
Yes.
I walk around downtown all the time, dog.
Okay.
Are you
What
illegal?
do those
Talk
billboards
to me.
say? Because I don't think the context around the subject matter is, hey, walk here, sign a piece of paper, we're good. We invite you.
Well, it's a little harder than that.
I don't
but-
think it's inviting, and I think that's my point. Is it's not inviting. It's,
Oh, what do you want
it's
him to do?
jaded,
Send you a fucking
fingers up.
Uber?
Listen, cross sign.
You
get the
already made
hell
it
away.
here. You've lived here for 30 years. The least you could fucking do is talk to a lawyer.
It's not a cross sign. Get the hell away.
Johnny,
This
it's
is
not gonna
number one,
happen.
Brett. Number fucking one. This is California. There is no like.
We're in California. the
until
Mecca.
November when we split into three.
But that's what I'm saying. We're in California, the mecca of the legal immigration, perhaps aside from Texas being the only like.
Texas has private property up against the border, and they just shoot people.
I'm just saying, if it's not
True.
that,
Which I also
here-
think is perfectly fine.
here to a straight white
trespassing.
male with internet access on a daily basis in
But
California.
you don't need to know that.
That's correct.
Because there are billboards.
but I am.
You are a
smart,
straight white American male
intelligent,
born and
wait,
raised
wait,
in the
politically
US.
minded.
Hold on. What makes you think that somebody who's lived here for 30 years and has kids on the local fucking softball team doesn't have internet access?
Well, I don't know. Like I admit
That's
that
exactly
I'm naive to
the
that.
case scenario.
but
Like
I
this is
don't-
just somebody who's
So then why are you coming up with fantasy fucking scenarios
Well,
right
because
now?
I'm just going back to my experience, and
No,
But
once
your
upon
experience
a
is
time,
not as an illegal immigrant.
No. My experience, what I'm saying is, once upon a time, I worked at a diner where there were illegal immigrants absolutely infiltrated that place. Every cook that worked there
That's
was
every
an illegal
restaurant in
immigrant.
Sacramento.
Sounds like
Calm
El
down.
Paso.
And where they lived was not at a place where they could just go to a suburban home where there was internet access.
Where did they live,
In
Brent?
research,
Did they live in the slums of Wilton?
they lived on trucks. And yes, it was in Wilton.
I know what
Typical.
diner you're talking about. I used to eat there every morning as a kid.
I'm just saying that I just don't. I just think that if I'm a smart, intelligent, degreed individual that cares about politics and I don't know about it, then how can
Well,
we
you already
expect,
sound like a San Francisco voter. Listen,
how can we expect an illegal
Yeah,
immigrant
Pelosi.
with less access to know that if he walks into an
But
establishment,
they're having different conversations than you.
I agree, but I just don't know what those conversations are, and I
So
don't,
then why would you assume that those conversations aren't around?
well, yeah. Why would you
how
paint
to
this?
be
Listen,
documented?
because
It
there's a
doesn't-
big issue around it. There's a big need for people that are undocumented to get documented.
but they have decided not to for 30 years, despite the fact that they're even
Because
without
of a connotation.
But even without internet access, there have been immigration attorneys forever. Listen,
He right though.
you can go
no,
to an immigration lawyer. A private immigration lawyer is on your side. It's your case. And they will get you resident status. It might suck. It might be uncomfortable. You might have to pay fines, whatever. But you can have who
well there it is.
I have never known anybody that's had an uncomfortable encounter with an immigration lawyer.
No, one of my
Okay.
friends recently just did, and it was great.
But okay, so I had my very first experience with a lawyer because of a car
Me
accident.
too.
For about
Shut up.
3 to 4 years ago. So
Shut
it
up.
took me. I just heard you. Well played. It took me until I was 26
Same.
to ever even
Took me until I was 18.
consider going.
Well, my girlfriend
I
was
can't.
16, and her mom
I
didn't like
can't
it,
do
so
it.
that was tricky.
I can't do it.
No, continue, Brian.
No, I give up.
Brent, you're comparing your life, and you.
That's all I have to go by,
You
Sean.
drive. I know, and it's anecdotal, and I get it. But you keep driving this point home. You drive this point home, which is really against the point you're trying to make, and you continue to drive this point home of I'm a white, straight, suburban American male.
Don't do it in the Bill Clinton voice. Get my dick sucked by Monica.
If you were married to Hillary, you'd want that.
Hey yo.
What did Coco know?
And that, and that point works against you, though. I'm just saying that point works against you in the point that you're trying to make right now.
That doesn't mean that it's my opinion on the matter is invalid, nor is the knowledge I have.
But what
or
is
the
your opinion on the
experience.
matter?
My opinion on the matter is that we should do everything we can as a country to get everyone that's undocumented documented. And if that means spending some dollars to improve
It doesn't mean spending
the
some. It means
culture
changing the culture. You can't
around
spend.
the
You
idea.
can't. Policy does not affect culture. Culture affects policy.
Yeah, politics is downstream of culture.
Politics is downstream
I think I
culture.
completely agree with that, but there are things we can do to make
Here-
it not such a dark subject.
Here's what I agree.
You're right.
I agree,
You're
but
right.
here's where I'll diverge. It is not our job to make sure someone's life is in order. Now, we can make it easier.
Agreed.
We can make it easier, and we can just say residency is fine. You can't apply for social benefits. You can't apply for subsidized housing, the welfare things. You can't apply to public schools unless you are paying property tax or whatever the fuck you want. Pick your barrier. Okay? It doesn't matter. But you can live here. I think the problem here is that we don't actually need to be doing anything. We don't need to be doing anything. The more we do, the worse it becomes. This is a situation where we need to allow people to live their lives. We need to simplify the law. We need to make the law more streamlined. We need to cut down the hurdles. And I agree with you. This needs to not be a massive thing, but this doesn't need to be an undertaking. You know, we don't need to like go out and like change culture, which I absolutely disagree with. We absolutely should never change the culture. You
can't force a culture to change.
You can. It's very brutal, and it's a horrible
It's
situation.
horrific.
But
But
the
what
thing
you
is that
can do is give knowledge and
where
invite.
where in our culture has the American I'll back off of that. Where in the modern culture are Americans ungiving? For a century, we have been the most charitable nation. We have been the largest economy. We've been the most invested country. We took up the mantle of the fallen British Empire to police the world. Where the fuck has the American culture let down the global standards? And I know people are like, oh, the children are screaming cages. First of all, they're screaming because they're sad. Okay, kids get sad. It happens. It's not because we're brutalizing them. It's not because we're killing them. Where has American culture failed here? There is no failure of American culture. We have been an incredible force for good in the history of the human race.
Agreed.
We don't need to change from that course. Are there things that we need to adjust? Sure. But a lot of that has to do with descaling our involvement in government procedures. We need to stop trying to be like the imperials of Asia and Europe. And we need to be more like what our root culture was meant to be, which is back off, let people come in. If they need to come in here, document them, send them on their way. This needs to be as simplified as possible.
I actually completely agree with that, 100%.
You know, if you raped somebody in your home country and that's on record, fuck you. Probably put a bullet in them and throw them into the Rio Grande. That's fine. But if they didn't, welcome to America. No one cares about you. Continue on with your life. Fuck off. And if you've been here for 30 years, go see a fucking immigration lawyer. They will help you.
So this may be somewhat of a
If you know
bad
someone,
example, but I'm going to give it anyway.
tell them to go to an immigration lawyer.
One of the big marketing ploys of getting individuals to go to the war, like 50 years ago, 70 years ago, was this whole thing on putting posters and being like, honor and go to the war, serve your country, and it
It's called
worked.
propaganda.
Correct.
It's called-
And the power of an invitation is prominent in America. And I just think that perhaps that is what we should be doing. And that is large enough to influence change in a positive direction, but not so large that we're bombarding people with policy.
Oh, no, not an invitation. You need to stay in your own fucking country. If you want to come here, that's fine. But
This is more so about the individuals that are currently here. It's something we have to deal with because they're in our
I don't think the
sandbox.
government should be involved in employing like people to be like, I think it's dangerous to have the government involved in employing people who are going to market anything. Okay, they do enough of that on their own. I think that private groups, if they want to say, hey, we need to back immigration lawyers and we need to like support them, I think private groups should be able to do that.
Agreed.
Culturally,
Agreed.
that's totally fine. And please, if you know somebody who needs to talk to an immigration lawyer, please have them talk to an immigration lawyer. I swear to God, all of this will be solved. It might be uncomfortable. It might take a while, but I promise you
Well, and
that
maybe that's
nothing's
the
different.
propaganda. On a state
But-
level, just throw shit out there that
There
says
is-
if you're illegal, talk to an immigration lawyer.
But that needs to not be from the propaganda comes from the state, okay? Advertising comes from people. There is a difference.
yeah,
But the fact of the matter is that Trump would love nothing more than to not have this be an issue. No president wants this to be an issue. They want to be seen as the person who granted under their tenure prosperity and peace to the nation. That's all they ever want. The only time they ever switch to propaganda, and this is good or bad presidents, doesn't matter, is when something goes out of control and they have a solution for fixing it.
Right.
They think. That's the only time. Every president would love to go down in history as not having to do fucking much. Okay?
Yeah.
They would love that. Even non-presidents, kings, queens, emperors, prime ministers, they would love to be able to say, I didn't have to do anything. It was fucking wonderful. Thank you for your service, for your time. I'm out. Retirement sounds cool. We get a pension. But the problem is that Trump and Obama were both faced with very significant challenges. Obama did his whatever he could. He deported millions of people. People don't like to talk about that. Republicans specifically don't like to talk about that. Democrats definitely don't want to talk about that. Obama is deportation queen, okay? He's got the crown.
He is.
Trump setting record levels. He's still not there yet. But what can anybody want a president to do about this? You know, the president has to enact. They can go outside of that, and they can do only to an extent with executive orders. But this all comes down to congressional control. And Congress absolutely refuses to take on the weight of its own balls. They have to make the change. The president can't issue permanent orders.
Yeah, right.
The president cannot change laws. The president can adjust underneath the law, but he cannot change the law itself.
Right.
The Congress has to do this. We need a stronger Congress. We need to move forward. And we need to not give a fuck about this. This is not a serious issue. People need to take care of their own business, and people need to take responsibility for the bullshit. And if you've been here for 30 years, you know it's bullshit. Get your paperwork. It's not that hard. Okay? Just go see a lawyer. It's literally
There
not
it
that
is.
hard. Fuck off. I'm tired.
That's Johnny's 2 cents.
Boom.
Think of the children. Okay? If you don't go talk to a lawyer, your kid's in a cage. That's what the fuck the moral is.
Think of your
There's
children.
your propaganda.
Think of your children. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone this week for listening to Boozed and Bothered. This has been episode 25. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Stitcher. Check us out at boozedandbothered.com. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/boozedandbothered, Instagram.com/boozedandbothered, and Twitter at boozedandbothered. No and, just the n. I want to thank everyone for listening this week. Listen, guys, if you loved it, even if you hated it, leave a star review, leave a like, let us know what you think. We always interact with the listeners. We talk back. We talk with, depending on. Sometimes we talk back, depending on who's
No, we're
jumping
very
in there.
polite.
Sometimes. Most of the time, we're very polite. Every once in a while, someone gets a little belligerent, and we kind of have to bust out.
Oh, yeah. If you're going to be racist, I'll tell my mom.
Yeah. So leave a review, leave a like, let us know, subscribe, all that good stuff. My name is Sean. I am your co-host and producer, aka Daddy.
My name is Jonathan, and I'm the real gay host around here.
My name is Brent. I'm the cool dad, butt puckered, straight white male
From the suburbs.
from the suburbs.
Guest of the show. And we will see you all next week.
Yeah, later.
Bye.